Hello, Commissioner Bratton. I am so glad that you are here. I am so glad that you are taking action to clean up the police department. But there's corruption in this police department that runs so deep because it's not just in the police department. When Mr. Michael Bloomberg was the mayor, he set it up so that people would lose their homes, and he was able to do this by manipulating a lot of the agencies, and so they're all working together in concert. So you have the civil court working together in concert with the criminal court to relieve people of their homes. And this is going on every day, and it went on May 29th of 2012 when Mr. Jeffrey Zagelbaum, who stole a lot of homes from people and a couple of my clients, and he actually even helped to kill one of my clients, and the other one, I'm not sure if she's dead or alive, but she was very near death when he first worked with the judge to trick her out of her apartment, and the judge aided and abetted him in these criminal activities. And so we have some serious things going on, and it needs to be addressed. And these judges need to pay for the death of my client. And my client's name is Ingrid Bell. And a couple of judges and a couple of lawyers, Jeffrey Zagelbaum's lawyer and himself, he cut off my client's electricity in the basement. And my client was blind, disabled. He intimidated her. He did everything to undermine all the work that I did to help her save her apartment. The judges took and diverted all the work and forced her to lose her apartment unlawfully. And so a judge's job is to be fair and impartial, not to be working in concert in violation of the RICO Act and working in concert with landlords and the police department and the criminal justice system, and they're all backing each other up in the wrongdoings. And so that needs to be cleaned up, and we need you to be courageous and look at what occurred on May 29th when your police officers and your police sergeant at the 83rd Precinct came onto the scene and saw that Mr. Jeffrey Zagelbaum had nailed a board up over the door, and I had an order to have access so that I can get my $100 billion project out of the apartment. He refused to comply with the law. He refused. Mr. Jeffrey Zagelbaum refused to comply with the court-ordered access, which was supposed to be from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. on May 29th of 2012. Instead, he called the police department. In lieu of complying with a court order, he called the police department and made a false report. When the police showed up on the scene, they saw a prima facie case because before he called the police department, he robbed me, almost knocked me down the stairs, and stole the court order from my hands. When the police department came on the scene, he was in possession of my court order. And they saw that he was in possession. He told them that I had put it on my camera. And so when the sergeant came upstairs, she says, "Give me your phone. You will not be taking your cell phone with you. You will be arrested." And there was prima facie evidence that he had not complied with the court order. He had robbed me for the court order. And the door should have been open. I should have access to my property, and I didn't. And they made up a story that I had scratched him and I was falsely arrested, charged with assault and couple of other goodies. And so this happened while I was falsely incarcerated. Mr. Jeffrey Zagelbaum took the opportunity to burglarize my apartment. And the only thing that he took was my intellectual property. And he disabled my cameras and took the property that I was using to implement the $100 billion plan. And so all of that was stolen by him. He left all of the physical furniture. Him and his lawyers went to court and told the judge that they had moved everything out of the apartment. And the judge, seeing that he did not comply with the court-ordered access, he was in contempt of court, the judge took no action. This false arrest, contempt of court, the burglary of a $100 billion plan, stopping 10 million new jobs from being created, stopping 10 million foreclosures from being prevented, and 10 million micro businesses from being created. And so this was done working all in concert together. And so we have to work with the district attorney's office to correct the judges who took the wrong action and aided and abetted in this. I have to speak with the mayor and speaking with the lawyers who are supposed to be working on the side of the people who are defendants in these cases, and they all work together in concert to allow this man to steal $100 billion plan to prevent people from being able to create livelihoods for themselves, to destroy businesses, to steal homes, and this has to be addressed. So specifically, we're talking about May 29th, the false arrest and the ignoring of the prima facie evidence that this man utilized the criminal justice system to prevent me from having access to the $100 billion plan and to prevent him from having to comply with a court order. And your police officer and your sergeant aided and abetted him in doing this. And so this needs to be addressed, and it needs to be addressed quickly because it is May 5th. Today is May 5th, 2014. And so for the misdemeanor part, that needs to be addressed, and those charges need to be filed against the sergeant and against the police officer for filing false charges and for failing to comply with the evidence and failing to comply with arresting Mr. Jeffrey Zagelbaum for the robbery of the court order. And so instead of arresting him for robbing me, and they saw that I had it on camera, and instead of acknowledging any of the evidence, they ignored the evidence and wouldn't allow me to take the phone camera with me on this bogus arrest, and made up a story and ignored, in their paperwork, ignored the court order. So in the paperwork, it doesn't even acknowledge that there was a court order that he did not comply with. And so this type of conspiracy has to be stopped. And so I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad that you're on the job. And let's make it happen. Let's get this sergeant arrested. Let's get Jeffrey Zagelbaum arrested. Let's get the officer who filed the false complaint arrested. Let's clean up what needs to be cleaned up. Let's have the courage to do what is right. And let's get this $100 billion plan going so that people can stop losing their homes and that jobs can be created. All right, I'm believing in you, Commissioner, Police Commissioner. I know that you will do the right thing. Mr. William Bratton, it's on you. Let's make it happen. That's www.nofearmillionaire.com.